Hello, everybody. On January 26, 2022, I gave a webinar on success mindset principles. I had been invited by Bob Lowe to participate with other great speakers at a Life Success Summit. Here is a only slightly edited version of the webinar for your watching enjoyment. Take care. I hope you enjoy. Bye-bye.
Hi, Claudia.
Hi there.
Yeah, hi. Okay, everyone, welcome to today. Now is the fourth session, and we have Claudia Cimenti all the way from Luxembourg. So today, our first female and first European speaker. And today she's going to share with us on 5 top success mindset principles. So Claudia, can you try your share screen as well?
Yes, I will.
Oh, okay, so it's up.
Do you see it?
Cool. It's good. So yeah, let me do a quick introduction, Claudia. So thanks all for joining us. So Claudia is a professional coach, founder and top coach in Luxembourg, a private and collaborative coaching practice in Luxembourg. So you call it top coach, right, Claudia?
Yes, top coach.
Yes. So she studied coaching. So she lived in many places. She told me she lived in Canada. She also lived in the US and of course now in Europe. So she studied coaching in the US, France, and Germany. So many places. She has been leveraging her background in mathematics. So from working with Claudia, I know she's a very logical person. So she has a background in mathematics, engineering, high ticket sales. She also specializes in coaching tech leaders, entrepreneurs, and their teams. And Claudia considers herself the business person's personal coach, right? So it's for all of you here who are business leaders like Carol, Claudia considers herself for you. And Claudia takes a systemic view of themselves in the context of themselves, their team, their organization, and the various aspects of their overall life. So today, Claudia will share with us 5 top. So top is the word top exclamation, right? Top success mindset principles. So Claudia, without further ado, I will leave it to you and you can start your presentation. So thanks all for joining us. So I'll give the floor to Claudia. Claudia, you may take it away.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks for the introduction, Bob. First of all, thank you, and thank you for the fellow speakers today for letting me be part of this. And all of this wouldn't be half of anything if it wasn't for our fantastic audience. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. While we maybe leave a little bit of time for the ones I want to, tell all the other ones that haven't had a chance yet to post in the chat, where are you from? And if you want to, maybe you can even talk about, what you do or what you want to do professionally. The top 5 things got actually changed a little bit to just the 5 mindset principles, and it will become clear as we go through the presentation why I selected those 5. So bear with me a little bit. Again, let's go. I'm a professional coach. I've been doing coaching now for a number of years, and it took me a while to really find my sweet spot, and mindset coaching really fits. And so I want to bring a little bit of this passion that I have about this topic to you today. And thank you for giving me the opportunity. So first of all, some of you in the audience here might not actually connected yet to me on LinkedIn. Either use this QR code or use the link provided here. Send me a connection request. I'd love to get in touch. Also, for any kind of information or to get in touch with me, you can use my website. It is topcoachluxembourg.lu. LU being the country code for Luxembourg. Okay, very good. So let's move on. First of all, here, we might already have had a long day, depending on where you are. You might be in the morning, evening, or night. I would suggest that we just take one moment for a very small reflective practice. So become comfortable, and let's try to collect and ground yourself. You can even close your eyes if you want. Take a couple deep breaths and become present in the here and now. As you breathe in, feel your body and charge yourself with this positive energy. And as you breathe out, release the stress of the day and clear your mind. In with anticipation and positive expectation, and out with all the distractors. For the next hour, give yourself permission to take time for yourself. And as you keep breathing a couple more breaths, ask yourself, what is currently my biggest success challenge? What is currently my biggest success challenge? And do I think this thing called mindset, that granted I might not know much about yet, does that have something to do with it? So what's my biggest challenge, and could it somehow be related to this thing called mindset? Take one more breath in and out. And I hope that helped you ground yourself a little bit for this little talk that we're going to share here today. Thank you. Let's start with mindset. Mindset is what we're going to focus on today. And I want to bring home the fact that mindset is important and why. And so let's go and take a look. What is mindset? So mindset was originally thought as the way that your mind is set. Set, immovable, whatever. But it has actually evolved into the idea that it is a set, a grouping, a collection of everything that influences your thoughts and your decisions. So it's all the influencers, internal mental influencers, that have an effect on how you think. And of course, by extension, on the decisions that you take. So it's comprised of so many different aspects, like attitude, beliefs, ooh, big one, emotions. Oh yeah, we think differently depending on the emotional state we're in, of course. Our habits, Tony Robbins say, we are what we continually do, right? Our automatic, reflexive kind of reactions to external triggers, our preferences, and our motivation, all of these things that seem so abstract and intangible have very concrete impact on our thoughts and where it goes. So your mindset really impacts your life from the moment you get up in the morning until you go to sleep at night. It is essentially what makes you you to a very large part. And it has an effect on how you see, interpret, and experience the world. It influences even your perceptions. Okay, so everything that makes up your internal view of the world and how you react with it. Okay, and some things of that are very real. There's a resilience part in it, meaning how do you approach challenges? Okay, there's emotions, there's this big, huge thing, the emotions, feelings, and the mood in which that you generally carry around, right? How do you look to the future? And how do you deal with memories of the past? It is so very complex, which is also one of the reasons why you cannot really say these are like the top 5 things and just pick 5, right? And so let's move on and take another look on this. So that is what mindset is. So here we have what I call the chain of influence. Okay. Very often we have some kind of a trigger, and I'm going to see if this works here. We have some kind of a trigger that will need us to take some kind of action. And so this trigger is more or less visible to us depending on the state of our mindset. And some triggers trigger us very intensely, and others are like, meh. Okay, so mindset then goes and links to cognition. Cognition is a term used for our conscious thought. You know, this little voice that you have in your head that you can talk to kind of, and you're very aware about these thoughts that are going on, and you can even write them down on like a pro and con sheet and things like that. That is our cognition, the thinking we are aware of. Okay, so these two things here are okay, I'm clearing this. That is the realm of mindset, this mindset cognition interface. Well, cognition then makes us take decisions, and decisions, should be conscious. We should make conscious decisions, and from the decisions that we take, then follow actions, and from the actions follow outcomes. Okay, so the mindset is literally at the origin of this chain of influence, because through this chain it influences everything from the first conscious thoughts that we have to the final outcomes. And depending on the state of our mindset, the outcomes can be helpful, positive, or they can be bad for us, right? Because abdicating your responsibility and saying, oh, I don't decide, doesn't really help. And we get into that in just a little bit. Okay, so we already talked about the strong connection between our mindset and our cognition, right? There's this strong thing. And mindset influences cognition in a very, very profound way. But cognition is also kind of the way into the mindset. Our understanding, our conscious analysis, our awareness, conscious awareness of mindset inner workings is going to be the back door into it when we try to think about transformation. Okay. Mindset even comes before goals, because goals in my view starts with a decision. We set a goal, then we set an action plan, and ultimately we work towards reaching an outcome. But you see that everything from goal setting to goal striving to goal achievement are things related to the cognition and mindset that come before. Okay. And so the question is now, I have talked about mindset in the more abstract sense, but we talk about success mindsets here. But it all holds, really, because the success mindset success for me is just a series of decisions that lead to what you for yourself define as success, right? So if your mindset allows you to make decisions that then are conducive to reaching an outcome of success, that is your success mindset. Okay, if you just let stuff go however it goes, or you make bad decisions, then the mindset was per se not a successful mindset. All right, perfect. So now I want to introduce you to a fabulous metaphor, and that is the elephant. We are going to view our mindset as this elephant that our cognitive self is riding on, right? So the rider here, this dude, is our cognition, and the elephant is our mindset. Okay, and remember again what all of this entails, this mindset, your attitudes, beliefs, emotions, your preferences, inclinations, experiences. It's all the things that influence how this guy thinks and reacts to the world and ultimately makes decisions. Okay? And why an elephant? The elephant is like, it is so huge and so powerful. That is really how I sense this mindset thing. I mean, imagine you going into an elephant enclosure and you stand next to this imposing, powerful, enormous animal. That's the awe that I bring to the existence of my mindset, but also the mindset of all my coaching clients. It is so phenomenal and so complex that, yes, I really do feel in awe. And, try maybe to realize the richness and complexity of your own elephant. Okay. So, that is our mindset elephant. And if you like this, we're going to play with this elephant's word, this presentation. If you like this idea, hold on to this metaphor and name it, give it a name, and start talking to it. And I'm sure it will be a good thing. Because isn't it amazing that there's riders that are so in sync with animals like that they can ride them and get them to do work. And that's really what we're after. We want to get in sync with our own mindset so that we can go in and do great work together in our life and hopefully move towards success. I just see here that Seiji says, similarly, the elephant is a symbol of strength, patience, and intelligence. That's a very good one. I'm going to steal that one. Thank you so much, Seiji, for letting us know. That's very nice. Okie doke. So, but you can see that the task that we have in front of us now to learn to ride this elephant is not a simple one, and that is indeed true. Okay, so first fact here, you are riding an elephant. You are right now riding an elephant, whether you are aware of it or not. And you can't get off of it either. You have a mindset, and you can ignore it, but then you have to deal with the consequences of ignoring it. Or you can start to really learn how to deal with this animal, let's say, and go achieve greater things. Okay. And so now let's do another chat in exchange here. How aware are you of your mindset elephant in your everyday life? How aware are you of your mindset elephant? Seiji said to be reminded of Carol Dweck's research. Carol Dweck is a researcher at Stanford University, and she has done work on fixed mindset versus growth mindset. Fantastic read to read her book. So Kevin Gallagher says, I'm not unless I consciously check in with it. Yes, okay. Because it works in the background kind of by default, right? And but you already are aware that it is there, and you check on it then occasionally. That's very nice. Good. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so here is a piece of good news. It is good news that you can understand, transform, and cultivate your mindset. Just like a belief system, it is not cast in stone. You can change it. Okay, so when you think about the set in mindset, again, do not think immovable, unchangeable, established, but rather think it is a collection and group of changeable attitudes and changeable beliefs. Okay, so the and it's a tough task, because we could imagine that our established elephant is an elephant that has been running wild. I mean, it's kind of domesticated, right? But it's kind of done its own thing until now. And now we come in as a new entity, and we try to start steering things a little bit along. Okay. So now the 5 principles, I named them the 5 elephant principles. I told you we would be having fun with this elephant metaphor. Alrighty. So, when we say elephant, of course, they're the mindset elephant. So these are mindset principles per se. So try to extrapolate what is meant. Okay. So number one thing, and this is really the start, and that is something everybody can do today to already tap into understanding the richness of their own mindset. And that is to become aware, to adopt this mindfulness towards mindset. How does my mind work? Why do I even react the way I react? And what influences I have certain seemingly autopilot, automatic responses to certain triggers? Why do I get so upset about certain things? And it's mindfulness is kind of like a mild cognitive distance. It's kind of like you're observing yourself, right? Placing you as an observer, like 1 foot above and 1 step behind, and you just hover there and kind of check out what's happening. Okay, and then you can say stuff like, oh, that is anger that's bubbling up. Or, oh, look there, I acted strongly again when we started talking about this particular topic. Or, oh, I really do not want to work at this thing. I really don't want to work on it. I wonder what I am resisting. Okay, I'm not lazy in any other thing, so why should I be lazy on this? What am I resisting? What's keeping me from being productive? So those are all influenced by your mindset. Okay, so after you start this mindfulness practice, you will realize that there's some repeating underlying inclinations, that there's some beliefs, often limiting ones, but also sometimes helpful ones, that pop to the surface, and of course the vast richness and complexity of our emotions. Okay, so anything that underlies this and impacts this conscious thought is your mindset at work. Okay, we said that everybody is riding their elephant. And you can think that at the very beginning, your elephant, since you have not yet started to train it and ride it and things like that, is just running on its default settings, like a software with default settings, right? And you might wonder, where do they come? Where do they come from? Well, they were things that you were taught as a small child by your parents. stuff that you picked up by watching role models, sometimes good ones, sometimes not. Authority figures through your educational years might have influenced your thought patterns. Society as a whole, right? Customary norms, but also social media and your friends and just the environment that you're in, right? So when then there's things, beliefs that you have, doesn't it make sense to kind of challenge them now that you're adult and that you're, you know, that you're bringing stuff together and everything, and try to take responsibility and control of your life? Isn't it now the moment to kind of double check all these default settings and maybe fine tune them? Okay, good. So the second one is, after we become aware of just the bubbling up and influence of the mindset on our cognition, is to maybe become really aware also of the impact of this mindset down the chain of influence. Like, how does these patterns, these influences, these things now impact the decisions and the actions and the outcomes of my life? Okay, so how do I change? How is my behavior different? Okay, and then you will probably slowly start to think like, what outcomes, what alternative mindset, what outcomes would alternative mindset settings, like we talked before, achieve instead? So if I change some certain small things in the mindset, what kind of repercussions would that have? Okay, so you're still kind of in the observer mode, but you start to think about what the next steps should be. Because now in the third elephant setting here, or elephant principle, is we now start to get more involved, actively involved, and we start to care for and ride the elephant. And that is now a certain degree of transformation that will happen. So, but the transformation goes two ways, right? It's not that you as the rider can always just impose, maybe even by force, new things into your elephant. But you also have to become knowledgeable about the inner workings of the elephant and what it can and can't do and what's in its best interest and so on. So you have to learn about this animal, and the animal has to learn about you. And it's kind of a coming together. It's a coming together rather than a force imposition by cognition. Big words, but yeah. We can't force the mindset. So we now have established its guiding principles more and more, and now we can transform. So what can be some ways that we can do that? Well, if you got so far aware of some limiting beliefs, you can then go ahead and try to dispel or break these limiting beliefs and reframe them, restructure them as something useful. Right? You can learn how to respond instead of react. Reactions are typically automatic without much thought, and a response is something that we have stopped, analyzed, thought about, and made a decision before responding. Okay, so that's another one, how we can then start to train new ways of doing it, right? Again, when we ride this elephant, we have to adjust the path to it being one that can be walked and accessed by this elephant. And very often that has some impact on the way that we have set goals. We have to adapt our goals to what this elephant can manage. Okay, and then there's this thing It's a tricky one sometimes, is you have to learn when to push and when not, right? So imagine you're on this path with this elephant and there's some stones in the way, right? So there's some obstacle towards you achieving your goal, right? Do you take a detour, or do you tell the elephant to just step over it, which might be difficult? So it's the metaphorical way of saying, yeah, sometimes you have things that are uncomfortable, but life is inherently uncomfortable. So do I now push the limits of my own comfort zone? Right? These limits that my mindset says, ooh, do I really want to go there? And then cognition can say, yes, let's go there. Let's push. Let's overcome. Let's stretch without breaking. Okay. But it's about limits and boundaries. There's so much into it that we cannot fit into this short presentation. But ultimately, it comes down to you taking responsibility. Responsibility for your mindset, responsibility for your decisions and the consequences. Okay. So, training the elephant. Okay, so how do we teach a old dog new tricks? That's kind of the question here. And for me, this step contains two parts. The first one is habits. Habits, systems, and processes that are helpful. We want to set those in place. And, that might very well entail unlearning old, like, habits that are of no benefit to us, and then move forward. Practicing or exploring different mindsets is a learning experience, right? Because there's a plethora of mindset models out there that can be used to kind of give us food for thought, literally, right? And I'm just telling a few here as examples: growth mindset versus fixed mindset, competitive versus collaborative, problem-oriented versus solution-oriented, negative versus positive, individual versus collective, a threat versus opportunity mindset, a scarcity versus abundance mindset. There's so many of them here, right? And that is something that you can then go and explore over time, right? When you're training the elephant, it's not a 2-day kind of thing. None of this stuff is, okay? And last but not least, keep doing it. You need to have a little bit of a stick-to-itiveness when it comes to this, of a certain follow-through, because like any deep impact things need consistent, sustained effort, right? Habits need effort, less and less over time, but you still need to fine tune them and things like that. So consistency, follow through, accountability, that is what step 5 is about. So those were the 5. Let's review. The 5 elephant principles related to mindset and how to start thinking about engaging with it. The first one is become aware that it's there. You're riding an elephant, okay? Then understand the impact. It impacts how you think, how you make decisions, how you act, how you react, and what the outcomes are. Then riding the elephant, meaning go in and start adjust some cognitive stuff in yourself, but also start to maybe restructure some of the internal workings of this mindset. It is possible. And one good example is the reconstruction of limiting beliefs into helpful ones. Very, very common one. Then in number 4, we train the elephant by, fine-tuning existing habits, but then maybe also introducing new ones based on other kind of mindset characteristics that we might want to introduce. And the 5th one, last but not least, is the follow-through. I know this was a huge chunk of information. I hope it was nevertheless clear enough that you guys were able to follow. Now I would really like to ask you to let me know in the chat, please, which elephant principle here are you struggling with the most? There's no right or wrong reason, because even people that have dealt with mindset a long time actively, either as their own mindset or as a coach, they still struggle. Okay, because it is such a thing. So please take a second in the chat to put this in. Oh yeah, Seiji, thank you for your feedback. Follow through, accountability, persistence, being like this dog playing with a rope, and even when you lift the rope up, the little dog stays stuck to it and doesn't let go. Yeah, this kind of stick-to-itiveness, this kind of real concerted effort, that is definitely a big one. And thank you so much also, Kenny and Sue, for your thing, and even Kevin Gallagher here, always the follow through. I just want to give like a very brief overview about where mindset coaching comes in. Okay, you remember our chain of influence here that we had before, and so traditional coaching is on this level. It is called transactional or goal-based coaching. And the majority of coaches, life coaches, but especially also business coaches, work on this level. You set a goal and you come up with an action plan, and you work towards reaching this particular outcome. And then there's also then there's also where accountability coaching comes in. So if this is a longer term thing, very often motivation drops, the stick-to-itiveness that we talked about, the follow-through drops, consistency isn't there anymore. You're not able as a coachee to keep in mind really about the thing that drove you to go after this outcome in the first place. And that is exactly where accountability coaching comes in. So most transactional coaches are also able and willing to do accountability coaching, but it has a different flavor to it. Okay, it has a different flavor to it. And then last but not least, there is here this transformational or mindset coaching. Okay, excuse me, one moment. Thank you. Where you really deal with mindset and cognition. That means you go really quite deep as in this coaching engagement. You look at inner thoughts, self-beliefs, behavioral patterns. Okay, you try really to understand how your mind works, what makes you tick. Why do you do the things you do the way you do them? What do you believe about the world around you? What do you believe about yourself? Okay. What are my emotional and psychological blockages, my self-limiting beliefs? How do I sabotage myself? Do I have fears or phobias and that are holding me back from becoming what I really want to do? So I have had clients in all of these, but my true passion is indeed with mindset coaching. So when you go out now to get a coach, make sure that he or she is willing, able, and qualified to give you the kind of coaching that you would need. Okay. So just a quick word of conclusion here. If there's only a couple things that to take home today is beware that there's a very powerful mindset elephant. Okay. It is there whether you want it or not, whether you're aware of it or not. Your cognition is being influenced by maybe even your completely default mindset. Okay. So once you adopt a stance of mindfulness and become aware of the impact, then you can start on transformation. Okay, transformation in individual things, transforming your habits, and then really continuing this training of the rider, training of the elephant, longer term through a proper follow-up. And, the other thing is you really can't outsource your mindset. You have to do you. It's not like I can throw my mindset over the wall to some external source and say like reformat or adjust or whatever. No, it's your work. It's your work. You do you. And it's assuming responsibility for your mindset ultimately. And it requires effort, but it is so powerful. And if you have found yourself being in situations where you were stuck, where you were overwhelmed, where you didn't feel quite right, like stuff didn't feel congruent, that's not really me, well, chances are you did something that was in contrast or conflict with who you really are deep down. Okay, but thankfully a competent mindset coach can help. So consider that. That's it essentially in terms of conclusion. Now I would like to let you know what was the number one takeaway. What stood out for you today? And what was it really? And how likely are you actually to take action based on these new insights, right? Because it's like, yeah, I could start becoming more aware. Wow, can I do this? Can I do that? So let me know in the chat. So resources, I already talked about the fact that I am a coach, so you can definitely contact me so we can have a conversation whether or not an engagement between you and I would make sense. You can reach me at topcoachluxembourg.lu or write to me on LinkedIn. Okay. I have, however, also 2 group coaching programs that are relevant to what we were talking about today. The first one is actually called SMASH. It's an interactive success mindset group coaching program. Because I want you to smash through your barriers and become a smashing success. Okay, it's also used as an acronym, as you see here on the left, and you can read all about it on the website. The link to it is topcoachluxembourg.lu /smash. So what's involved with it? Many of my programs actually are kind of structured the same way. In this case, SMASH is a 3-month program. Because we go kind of deep, the interactive sessions are every 2 weeks, because I found that you need a little bit of time to think about it, raise awareness, and integrate new things and potential habits into your everyday. So the things are 2 weeks apart, the main interactive sessions, and in the weeks in the middle we are going to have an optional office hours for those that would like to have a little bit more support, let's say. There's a community, because frankly the great thing about a group coaching program is that you're not only interfacing with the coach, but you build on the richness and leverage the experiences and support of your peers. And we are going to be connected throughout these 3 months through an open community. There's a dedicated course area where you can get worksheets and so on. So the second one, and I go very quickly through this one, it's a 4-week top habits challenge. Again, it's an interactive group challenge. The link for this is topcoachluxembourg.lu/habits. And that's a 4-week program. We meet every week. But again, you have the support of a community and a course area for worksheets. And I'm just looking here before we head over to the Q&A into the chat. And Kevin says, tracking his habits and routines and their usefulness. Okay, great. Yeah, it's something that even habits that are supposedly like habitual need to be tracked, and they need to be always reassessed and fine-tuned, like so many things in life. And Sue Gallagher says, just creating the better habits. Yeah, creating the better habits. And it's not just like a New Year's resolution. We're in a surge of like, I can do it kind of thing, then decide, from tomorrow I'm going to start working out 5 times a week, or I'm not going to eat this anymore, or I'm going to start working N hours a week on this or that, right? That surge of intensity is not enough. It's really this establishing of sometimes even practice habits in the beginning, and the fine-tuning and bringing it in gently, and then doing it consistently and refining over time. I mean, the agile mindset can also apply to habits. We start with the minimum viable habit and then go from there. Okay, fantastic. Thank you guys for your feedback. Awesome. And well, that's it for me. How was I on time? A little bit early, but I think we can just go and start a QA session. Bob, what do you think?
Yes, awesome. I learned so much. I think you should have called success mind, how to have a success mindset like an elephant rider. But it was so cool.
Live and learn, and because it was really through the preparation for this that it became very clear that I have principles of working with mindset that always come back, and I could have picked the 5 most useful ones that I have explored with my clients, right? But it became too complex, and I felt I left too much out. So I came up with the elephant.
Amazing. I love the analogy, and I think most of us here can relate to that analogy as well. Maybe consider making it part of your logo. So I'm just joking, but anyway, I'm just rambling on. But it's so cool to have this. So thank you all for joining us. So right now is the last call for questions. So we have a couple of questions. Number one, first person who put in the Q&A. So I will read it out. I think Claudia, you can see it in the Q&A tab. But yes, I will read it out for our audience. So Kenny Rivaldi with a question. So Kenny said, hey, Claudia, thank you for your inspiring speech. I do have a question. What book would you recommend I read first if I want to know more about mindset? So Kenny, if you're still here, please say hi to us. And Claudia, what book would you recommend?
If it were your first book to read about mindset, I would recommend that you read the book called Mindset by Carol Dweck. She has 2 versions. I am not sure actually if I read the earlier one from 2007 or the updated one from 2018. And it is wonderful because it talks about fixed versus growth mindset. And I think that having a growth mindset, and this book tells you all about it in great detail, is fantastic research and very interesting research as well. It's very readable. It's not like a dry kind of academic read. It's really, really interesting. And so she looks how the fact that people consider themselves capable of growth, do and achieve so much better. The fact that, okay, I might not know that yet, but I can go and I can learn and I can grow. It's okay to take risks. I am capable if I put effort into it, and so on. And it's very, very, very inspiring. So Kenny, if you had to read one book, one of these two, probably the latest one, is the one that I would definitely recommend.
Thanks so much for the recommendation. And next question we had earlier in the presentation from Helder. So Helder asks, how can I get out of the autopilot of my ingrained behaviors and habitual responses?
I think that this is when we are on autopilot, when our autopilot is engaged, we abdicate responsibility for conscious decisions, and we let the mindset take care of it, right? Yeah, there's this trigger, there is this stuff that comes along, and this is how you behave, right? It just automatically, without any conscious thought, we just let the default settings run. And actually, this is a wonderful question, Helder, because I would just refer back to the elephant principles. It starts with awareness. It starts with awareness of knowing, with this kind of cognitive distance, check it out. I just reacted on autopilot. Do you know the power of just knowing that you're on autopilot, right? I mean, it is really something. I reacted again this way without thinking. Would you look at that? Right? Without judgment, of course, but just like that you realize it, because it's only after you realize that you're not actively involved that you can change it, right? So go ahead and start with this awareness. And then in step 2, principle 2, we would then go, so the fact that I this time or ordinarily react this way, what is that impact on my life? And if the impact is okay, acceptable to you, then you can consciously decide to let it just be and continue on with this autopilot. So next time you're just going to say, autopilot, but that's okay, right? But if it is something that you realize, oh my God, that's not really something that's conducive to my success, then you have to start doing something about it. And you have to jump into a more active role in terms of transformation. And literally the one thing there is, again, this respond instead of react. Reaction would be this autopilot, ingrained behavior, this habitual response. You just do it, and the mind is not really involved. The awareness then allows you to say stop, think about it, then decide on how you want to respond, and then act accordingly. Okay, so that is how slowly you take control. The more awareness you have, the more you can pinpoint when it happens, and then you can say stop and really start taking conscious control of it, little by little, and then the more you do it, the more it becomes habitual. I hope, Helder, that this answered your question. I'm not seeing the chat window right now.
Yes, Helder, if this answered, so great answer, Claudia. So Helder, if you are here and that answered your question, please let us know in the chat. Or if you have something to add to the question, I have given you permission to unmute yourself.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, Helder. Hello.
Hi, Helder. Yes.
All right. Thank you, Claudia. That was actually a very good answer. It is to me always quite interesting and intriguing how much we are on autopilot, how much the rider on that elephant is on a daily basis on autopilot, and probably we don't get to know that, conscious know that, but I assume that most of the times we are actually the rider on that elephant on autopilot. We just walk through our day on autopilot most of the times, and the question now, this is why I raised the question, and then how can we get out of this autopilot, which is so ingrained in our behavior, and that allows the rider to take the elephant to a different path, maybe a path that we envision, a new path that we want to go to. And in order to go to that new path, we really need to get this autopilot off and the rider set to a new direction.
Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing as well, Helder. And thank you so much. And thanks for your answer as well, Claudia. So Matthew Sir asks, how can I best understand the workings of my mind? That's a big question. So Claudia, would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, and it's an excellent question, and actually it comes down to some level of difficulty. I have a metaphor for you guys there. Understanding the internal workings of your mind or your mindset is like catching the wind. You can't really catch the wind. But you can see that the wind is there by the effects of what it does, right? So imagine that you really resist doing something. You really resist doing something. And you don't quite know why. Cognitively, it doesn't make sense that this one thing, this one project or whatever would cause you so much trouble. So then you would then say, oh, maybe there's some mindset stuff behind it. So this resistance is an effect. It's a symptom, right? And we would then just go back and say, well, you know, what is it? Is it a topic that I'm not familiar with? Does it remind me of something? Do I have, in this particular instance, a low self-esteem that I think I'm not good enough? Do I have some self-imposed limiting beliefs that are working, and so on, right? So we see the effect, the symptom of it, and we have to kind of deduct what's happening under the surface, right? But the thing is, we know more or we feel more than we think. And see, if a limiting belief, an important limiting belief, will not just have one symptom. So much like a detective, you know, Sherlock Holmes, going around and finding different clues to find the same kind of perpetrator or the same kind of motive for a crime, you know, we will be able eventually to zoom in on this really relevant limiting belief, because it will have effects everywhere. Like the wind, I talked before, it's like catching the wind. The wind, you will hear it, you would feel it on your skin, you will see the grasses on the leaves rustling. So it's going to be a multitude of symptoms of this wind, but it requires effort. And not to be salesy here, but I realized from experiences with my clients that they often tell me that is where a coach can be really helpful, to go into this exploration of symptoms and the hunkering down into the inner workings. It's a challenging task, Matthew. So I hope that this kind of answered the questions. There's ways, but it's not necessarily self-evident or something you can do in like 2 minutes. Does that answer your question?
I believe Matthew said he can't hear us.
Oh,
okay,
so,
Matthew, if you like to add to your question, I also allow you to unmute yourself. So if you like to add to your question or to thank Claudia as well, feel free to unmute yourself. So thanks for your question, Matthew, and thanks for the very good explanation as well. Matthew is speaking, I think. Thank you so much. Thanks for attending, Matthew, and thanks so much for your question as well. Okay, so we have a last question. So I'm going to read the question, and because it says anonymous attendee, so if it's your question, please raise your hand or please type in the chat. So this is a question from anonymous attendee. And some years ago, I took a Myers-Briggs personality test. I suspect that transforming a personality is difficult or even impossible. How does this fit with the mindset elephant? Is mindset transformation possible without changing the real me? Very interesting question, Claudia. If this is your question, please own up to the question and raise your hand. And Claudia, please add your feedback to the question.
Well, the question is, why would you want to change the real me? I think going and starting to learn and care for and adapt to and ride this elephant is not about changing who you are. I think it's about freeing who you are. And like one of the things, for instance, on the Myers-Briggs is introvert versus extrovert, right? Well, if you're an introvert, you're going to stay an introvert. Your elephant is an introvert, right? So in that case, you ride an introverted elephant. And there's nothing wrong with being introverted. And there's not necessarily a reason to change it, but owning up to the fact that you're an introvert and taking it into account in your goal setting, in your behaviors, in your habits, in your self-care, the way that you recharge your batteries, all these kind of things that that make you, right? Will be liberated, and you will find your true authenticity. Okay, starting to take a little bit of control of maybe limiting mindsets and limits and sabotages and automatic things, and maybe not having goals that are aligned with your true core and things like that. Those are the things that you're gonna want to change, and you're gonna liberate your true you. The fact that you take responsibility for what you want and what's best for you, instead of, let's say, blindly following the settings of your mindset set by authority figures in childhood or by customary norms and things like that, is exactly what this work is about. It's going to allow you to be more you and become truly authentic and have this beautiful, powerful elephant to ride and accomplish great things with. And if the elephant is, for instance, an introverted elephant, it's going to be beautiful. I hope that gave you a little bit of an idea. Thank you so much.
Amazing answer, Claudia. And thanks for the question. So if you would like to thank Claudia Anonymous, please put it in the chat. So this is the last call for questions. We have to go. Our next session is in 45 minutes, but please take the time to thank Claudia in the chat. So if Claudia has added value to you and you've learned something about mindset, please say your thanks to Claudia here. We will be ending the session in a few minutes. So Claudia, any last words you want to leave with us here before we end the session?
Yeah, I mean, I really want to thank everybody, you, Bob, for organizing this, the co-speakers, but most of all the attendees here for giving me this opportunity. It was a wonderful thing. I hope to see some folks again here when we connect on LinkedIn, when we start a conversation, maybe on my website, maybe even through one of my coaching programs. And I really hope that this is not the end, and it has been great fun. I'm really happy, and yeah, but mind your elephant. Really, mind your elephant.
Thank you, Claudia. I learned so much today. Mind your elephant. And we have a few, it's a very attentive audience. I love the audience today. Thank you so much for your amazing questions. So we have Seiji who thanks you, Claudia. Capital, all caps, thank you. Helder said, well done, Claudia, perfect job. Matthew Sir says, thanks for your presentation. Kenny says, thank you as well. Sue Gallagher, all the way from the UK, says, thank you. Kurdish, I think it's Khurshid say thanks all the way from India. Carol from Singapore, thanks you as well. And Glenn is thanking you as well. You're welcome, Glenn, as well. So thank you so much, Claudia. It was a great session. And for the rest of you, stay in this link for the last session of the day. And I will see you soon. And you can stay in this link, or you can leave and join the same link again. I'll be seeing you very, very soon. Thanks so much, Claudia.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.